So we're going to be talking about value stacking, but what is value stacking? Value stacking is about transformation for your client. Okay, now I want to get this right for you guys. I want you guys to get this right. Value stacking is not stacking a bunch of stuff in your offer just because you got a bunch of stuff. That actually won't translate to value at all. So before I show you how to do it, I want you to understand what it actually is. Value stacking is not adding a bunch of random bonuses to your offer. I already stated that. Value stacking is taking the transformation your client wants, their dream outcome, and building layers of value around it so that your offer becomes irresistible. We're going to talk about how to do that today. But here's the key things that you should know. You cannot value stack if you don't know who your dream customer is. So if you do not know who your dream customer is right now, maybe stop this video, stop watching this video, I should say, and go to a whiteboard and start planning out who your dream customer is, because that is number one. You have to know that. You cannot value stack if you don't know what they want. So that's why you got to know your dream customer. You got to have a niche. You got to know what that customer wants. And if you don't know, you need to go to the drawing board and figure that part out before you can ever start the value stacking. And you absolutely cannot value stack if you do not know the problems, fears, and obstacles standing in their way. So who is your dream customer? What do they want? And what are the problems, fears, and obstacles that are standing in their way from getting to their dream outcome? And your job is to help show them the way, okay? And you can't show them the way if you don't, number one, know who the dream customer is. Number two, know what they want. Number three, know what the problems and fears and obstacles they may have that's stopping them. Because your value stack is simply a list of solutions and a list of obstacles. Okay, so you're going to have a list of obstacles, and what are the solutions to those obstacles? That is what your value stack is. If the client fears it won't work, your process, you add a system that builds confidence. Okay, so that would be a value stack. If the client thinks it will take too long, you add a timeline to your value stack. If the client doesn't know where to start, you add a roadmap to your value stack. If the client has been turned down before or been burnt before, or has resistance because of something like that, you add transparency, you add maybe video reviews, things like that. Value stacking is the process of taking what you already are doing and showing it in layers that make the client say, wow, I get all of that. So I want you to think about that for a second. Value stacking it isn't necessarily adding more work to your plate. It's probably stuff you're already doing. Especially if you do have a dream customer right now and you have the dream outcome, you probably have multiple things you're doing to help to get that dream customer to the dream outcome. But you may not be listing those out and letting the client know specifically what you're going to get in the journey that they come along with you. Okay, and so that's how you're going to start to value stack. And the best part of value stacking is that value pieces don't require extra work. And a lot of times require no extra work. Again, it's just you're stacking the value into your offer. And most of those value stacks, if you are a credit professional, if you're a loan officer, if you're a real estate agent, most of your value stack values are actually going to come out of your LevelUp Score. So if you're not using LevelUp Score, I encourage you to check it out. But if you are a credit professional and you are using LevelUp Score, you're going to see today where a lot of what you're going to be putting in your value stacks comes right from LevelUp Score. So what does that mean? No extra work for you. Obviously, LevelUp Score does all that work for you. Okay. So I hope we're clear on what a value stack is. So the first part I want to talk about is we got to start with that dream outcome, right? So if we're starting with the dream outcome, for instance, a value stack is going to be built on the dream outcome. So if I don't know their dream, I can't build the value, right? So let's kind of think about your clients right now. Or some of the examples of their dream outcome, things like, I want to buy a home in the next 6 months. I want to fix my credit without feeling overwhelmed. And that's a great one if you think about products like Credit Versio. It's kind of their messaging. How you can fix your credit without being overwhelmed. How you can fix your credit without spending a lot of money. I want to get a car without a crazy interest rate. I want to feel financially confident and stable. These are all dream outcomes that your clients might be having. So if you can define what that is, that once you have that, now you have the messaging, right? So finding out what that dream outcome is. If your offer doesn't connect directly to their dream outcome, they won't see the value. I don't care how many value stacking you do. If your offer doesn't directly connect to their dream outcome, they won't see the value. And that is very important. And that's why you need to know what the dream outcome is. Okay. Next part, and I harp on this a lot. Alex Ramosi will tell you the riches are in the niches. Okay. You have to know what your niche is. If you are out there as a loan officer and you're saying, I do all loans, then you have no one to talk to. If you are a credit repair professional and you're saying, I help everybody with credit issues, you're not talking to anyone. You have to really connect what you're doing, the offer you have, with their outcome. So everybody doesn't have the same outcome. You might be talking to everybody who has bad credit, but they don't have the same dream outcome in that scenario. So it's very important that you understand that. So some examples of some niches that I think work really, really well. The first one is the one I did. I was a first-time home buyer specialist. And as you're going to get to know in this live, you're going to see how I value stacked for first-time home buyers. But I'll give you a preview here. So when you came into my ecosystem, I was a first-time home buyer specialist. Okay. I wasn't a credit repair specialist. I wasn't a loan officer. I wasn't a down payment assistance expert. I wasn't a home buyer education expert. No, I was a first-time home buyer specialist. What did that mean? That means there's a ladder of value that I can add to that. So if you had credit issues, I would help you with that. If you needed down payment, I had resources for that. If you needed a home buyer education course, I got you covered. If you needed a loan product, I got you covered. If you need a real estate agent, I got you covered. If you needed to know what the journey looked like when buying a home, I got you covered, right? That was my job as a first-time home buyer specialist. So I was able to take all the problems that first-time home buyers might endure and then find solutions and create that in my overall offer. Okay, does that make sense? So making sure you connect your offer, my offer, first-time home buyer specialist, to what they want as their dream outcome. And so here's some really great ones. Single moms, all kinds of things you can do for single moms. Veterans, that's a big one right now. Loan officer referrals. How can you get loan officers into your ecosystem and help in giving them more referrals? Auto buyers, divorce recovery, huge one. Self-employed borrowers. This is a great one. I know in the lending world, this is really great because if you can be specialized as a self-employed borrower's loan officer, right, or attorney, then you can have these people who really have a difficult time finding a really good loan officer who understands self-employed borrowers and understands the products and services that are available for them. So this is a really good one, and down to tax preparers and things like that. So does that make sense? When you know your niche, you know your audience and who you're going to talk to, you now know their dream outcome, and you can start to layer in the value adds to make sure they get to their dream outcome. That's the whole idea, right? Okay. All right. Next thing, and this is the gold of the gold of the gold, and it's going to take you a minute to do it, but please take the time to do it. I would encourage you, after you watch this live, just kind of sit back in your chair if you got a moment, or do it before you go to bed tonight and list out, here is my niche, here is my dream customer, here is their dream outcome, and here are all the obstacles. And some of you have been in business for a long time, so you heard the obstacles. I had one of my mentees today send me a message on some obstacles she got. Like, I need to talk to my spouse. I don't have enough money. I got to wait till payday. It's not in my budget, right? You need to know all of those fears, all of those obstacles, all of those problems that would prevent them from buying your product. And you want to write all those down, and you're going to be in your value stack. You're actually going to be solving all those problems. Okay. So I'm going to give you a really cool visual that was given to me that I think might help you on this whole process here that I'm talking about when I'm talking about value stack. If I had in the parking lot right now, I said, hey, in the parking lot right now, I have a Ferrari for you. It's brand new. It's beautiful. It's your favorite color. It's everything you'd ever dream of. Assuming you like Ferraris. Okay, so let's pretend here. Most of you probably do. And if you don't, you're going to see the value right away. And I said, I will give that Ferrari to you for $30,000. Now, I'm going to bet everyone listening to this would go find $30,000. So you wouldn't go ask your spouse. You wouldn't go say you don't have the money for it, right? Because you will go and find the money somehow, some way. You are going to get $30,000. Why are you going to get $30,000? Because the value of that Ferrari is so much bigger than the cost that I gave you. And that's a great visual for you as you start to build your offer. Your value needs to be so big compared to the price of the offer. that they don't have to think about it. They don't need to ask their spouse about it. They aren't going to say they don't have the money for it because guess what? They were going to go and find the money. If the value is big enough, we will find the money for it. Fair? I think we can all say that. So we want to look at that. We want to look at and identify all the obstacles because this is the goal. This is where we provide the value that's going to make our offer irresistible. We want to look at emotional stuff. Like I tried credit repair before and it didn't work, or I tried getting a loan before and I got burnt by the loan officer, didn't approve me and just told me I didn't get approved, never called me back. I'm scared I can't do it. They have their own. It's not just about whether or not you can do it. They might not feel they can do it. How we simplify that process to make it attainable for them. I don't know anybody with good credit. Maybe they're feeling lost because like, I don't know anybody who's done this. So I don't even think that this is possible for me. Some situational things that might happen. No savings, they have a high debt to income ratio. They have identity issues, divorce, low income, practical things. I don't know where to start. I don't know what a score I actually need, even. I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know what my score is, right? So, all of those things can be obstacles and problems that are preventing them from moving forward. And your job is to solve for that. Okay. And that's where the goal is. And you're going to solve for all of them. So, you're going to be writing them down. And if you have not done the homework where you have your niche, you have your dream client, and you know what the dream outcome is, that's your homework now, is to go figure that out and then start interviewing people. Sometimes you're going to know from your own experience in working in the field, if you've been in the field for a minute, some of the questions and objections that you've heard. Sometimes you're going to get some of that information from your own experiences. If I'm a first-time home buyer, what was my experience buying my first home? What were some of the fears I felt? What are some of the things that were going through my head, right? And you can use that to build off of. But don't underestimate the value of interviewing your clients or your prospects or your leads on what they actually need and how they feel. It's a very, very important part of the process with any business owner, and you should constantly be doing it because things change.